to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Oh, welcome in.
Oh, yeah, we are so back. We are back.
Tuesday, June 10th. Welcome in, one and all. Mike Wright, Jason Moore, Andy Holloway, the Fantasy Footballers. Tuesday episode. Got news to catch you up on. We got Mailbag today. We'll answer some questions. We'll talk surprising fantasy football teams, or teams that we're predicting to be surprising for the upcoming season. So that should be fun. We've been getting a smattering of he's reporting, he's not reporting news around mini camp.
He's reporting, he's not playing, he's not participating, but he's there.
Which, if you look at Deuce's Alley right now, we have a non-reporting. I don't know if it's contractual, but Al Borland not reporting to mini camp right now. So we're in negotiations.
He is holding out for a very long time.
Now, he's on a boat, which most of the news with NFL players and boats is not good. So I hope he's making good boat decisions.
Actually, he made a really bad one.
Did he?
Yeah.
You already know about this?
I do.
What did he do?
He forgot to pack his CPAP charger.
No.
Yeah, he's 10 days on a boat.
That phrase alone was like outing this man on multiple levels.
You're darn right. You're darn right.
He's CPAP, so he might not come back.
There's a 50-50 chance he dies.
Wait. So he's on a boat. There's no way to get one.
Right.
Can you get a little Amazon drone to the boat?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to Alaska, so he's still somewhere where I'm sure he can.
From a bear.
He forgot a CPAP charger?
Yeah, he said he might throw a fat man off the boat so he can steal his charger.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Is there an alternative, like a mouth-to-mouth CPAP emergency situation?
Yeah, like in a bellows and just do a manual.
Manual bellows? That's how they used to CPAP. By the way, they didn't have these machines.
We weren't nearly as fat a long time ago.
Okay. Wow. Don't listen, Al. Don't listen today. Enjoy the boat.
I got a CPAP.
Enjoy.
I'll out myself.
I'm a bit of a CPAP expert myself.
Been around the CPAP block.
Oh, Jeremy's chiming in. Jeremy, go back to vacation.
Oh, my gosh. How in the world? Oh, okay. Yeah, go back to vacation, buddy.
All right.
I don't even know how he knows we're recording right now. The 2025 UDK, it's out. It's available, ultimatedraftkit.com. Make sure you get the app on iOS and Android. You can keep the Ultimate Draft Kit in your pocket. You can check on all of the updates, see the rankings, see the videos. I think we figured out and announced on the Footcast, it's over 400 minutes of additional video player profile analysis that's part of the UDK, and always updating those as they need to be updated. You can find us on X at the FF Ballers. If you want to join the community on Discord, it's ballersdiscord.com. I don't know if Papa Josh has a number for us, but I think it's in the 60,000 area. Is that fair?
58.6.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
All right.
That's
I
good.
do keep track.
42.
You can watch the show, youtube.com/thefantasyfootballers. A quick question of the day comes in from Instagram. The question is, what team do you think will surprise the most this season? I saw this question in there. My first reaction was, okay, do they want us to say what team we think is going to compete? I figured no. I figured this is fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
So from a fantasy perspective, what team do you think is going to surprise the most in 2025?
I'll kick us off. I'm very curious about the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jacksonville Jaguars were a very, very, very bad team last year. Obviously, the injury to Trevor Lawrence didn't help. Lost their coaching staff. They were 26th in points per game. Travis Etienne was a disaster. There was really no value, even though Tank Bigsby was, a better running back. He wasn't good for fantasy.
He showed up just enough to guarantee Etienne was irrelevant.
And Evan Ingram destroyed people, including the Jaguars. I mean, this is a guy who I know you guys are in on Evan Ingram this year, but he was 7.8 yards per catch. I mean, that's a bad play, a bad passing play for an offense and they did it a lot. So coming in this year, obviously they had one bright spot last year. Brian Thomas Jr. came on the scene and was incredible, rookie breakout, a star immediately in the NFL. Then they trade this year up for Travis Hunter. So I think I look at the weapons. They're saying the ETN's looking better right now in camp. If
Addition
Trevor Lawrence
by subtraction with Gabe Davis leaving?
Absolutely. I mean, Gabe Davis, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, it's out with the old, and hopefully in with the new hotness in Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter, Trevor Lawrence back
Diami
healthy.
Brown.
Yeah, Diami Brown is out there. So this is a team that I think might surprise. They have the 6th easiest strength of schedule as far as when you're looking at projected lines going forward, not just based on last year. They added Bashal Tutin in the draft. A lot of people's fantasy darling sleeper.
Not ours though, right?
Not mine personally.
Not mine.
Yeah. I don't necessarily.
No,
believe it.
he's a guy of like
We want him
be aware and be paying attention to camp because it's not
you
impossible.
can tell when he walks in a room.
Yeah.
And you got Mr. Duval in town, which
Yeah, Liam Cohen did a lot of work last year for Baker in that offense.
he's a goober, but maybe he can figure it out for the offense.
I went with the Raiders. The Raiders are 27th in yards per game, 29th in points per game. Altogether irrelevant last year. You didn't have a quarterback that mattered throughout the season. You certainly didn't have a running back that mattered other than, like a single Sincere McCormick event that happened later in the year.
Madison was getting touchdowns on the Reds for a little bit.
Yeah, Madison, Zamir White, Amir Abdullah, Sincere McCormick, some ensemble. Zamir was one of the biggest draft busts. If you targeted him anywhere in the draft, he did nothing. You got a new head coach, Pete Carroll. You got a new offensive coordinator in Chip Kelly. You got a new quarterback in Geno Smith. You got a new running back core in Ginty and Mostert. You've got a new wide receiver, Jack Besh, coming in, second-round pick.
Yeah.
To me, it looks like
Brock
Bowers. Yeah, I mean,
baby.
he doesn't barely need to be mentioned. You're going to have potentially a top 3 tight end, maybe a top 3 running back in Ginty, probably. I think either Jacoby Myers surprises to the positive side. I think it's in our values because you have a competent offense and a quarterback, or you have a rookie that makes a big mark in Jack Besh. I don't think that you're going to have no production from the wide receiver room with what you have in play action now, with what you have in Brock Bowers now from the way you move a defense around. So I think Jacoby Myers or Jack Besh become relevant this year. I think Geno's very streamable and maybe looks better than that at some point in the season. And there's just a lot of excitement and optimism. They basically just redid the entire meaningful parts of the team. Brock Bowers stayed around, but, I think the Raiders are a team we're going to be talking about instead of bemoaning.
Yeah, that makes sense. They were worthless last year.
Yeah. Mike, do you have a squad?
The quick one off the top of my head is the 49ers. Kittle Kittle's being underdrafted, as he always is. McCaffrey is, the wild card, but Brock Purdy's good. Brock Purdy can supply us with
Brock Purdy?
Yeah. We got to slow down on the chickens. But I think Purdy can give us at least 2 pass catchers, like Kittle plus games of Jennings, or does Pearsall take the next step in his second year? But they are the ADPs of the 49er wide receivers are in a place where they are very appealing to me, and I think that they can I expect them to outproduce the ADP. It's not a guy, I'm going to take the chance, we'll see what happens. No, I expect one of those guys between Jennings and Pearsall to be a weekly flex play at the worst.
Yeah, 6-11 season last year after 3 winning seasons in a row, but I think most people expect them to be competitive this year.
Yeah, they have a very easy schedule as well.
I think the easiest.
Yeah,
I think they're number one.
They're set up for success. If you look at the odds to win the division, odds to get out of the NFC and go to the Super Bowl, they're still high up there despite losing so much talent on both sides of the ball this offseason.
Imagine a world where you could donate some draft picks for a better schedule. And play that gamble.
I got to trade your third rounder for
slightly to get a better schedule in the NFL, but
I get to play the Browns for a third.
Right.
All right, let's talk some news.
News and notes from around the league.
Well, it happened officially. The Steelers agreed to terms with quarterback, Hall of Famer, Aaron Rodgers, 1-year deal. He is the Steelers' quarterback. It is what we expected to happen. He waited long enough to miss some stuff, and he'll be the guy. He's got a deal that includes $10 million guaranteed, worth up to $19.5. He's 41 years old.
And he's just been on fire, you know?
Yeah.
His career is about to resurge back to superstardom.
Maybe you're talking about his completion percentage declining 4 straight years.
You mean going 71 to 69 to 65 to 63% last year?
Or his yards per attempt declining.
Going from 8.2 to 7.7 to 6.8 to 6.7 last year?
Sack rate going up.
Oh, those numbers are going up.
The sack rate didn't go down, man.
Yeah, that's true. It went up. 3.7, 5.4, 5.6, 6.4 last year.
I saw some
I don't know if you guys knew this. Jason's not super bullish on the acquisition of Aaron Rodgers. I expect it to work fine for Pittsburgh.
I certainly think it's good for DK Metcalf. Like, for the pass catchers, this is an upgrade. But I do think from a team standpoint, this has always been Mike Tomlin's team. This is the Steelers and their identity. Aaron Rodgers is not. This is in Aaron Rodgers' mind. This is Aaron Rodgers' team. Period. Now,
I don't. I think Aaron Rodgers is a good teammate.
Oh, I'm not saying he's a bad teammate.
I think he's
I'm
a
just
good
saying
locker room guy.
He's going to decide what happens.
I think Big Ben's a big personality. I think AB is a big personality. I think Polamalu is a big personality. I think they've had a lot of those guys, and that's what Tomlin does best. I don't know if I agree with the great for pass catcher situation, believe it or not, just in the sense that, yes, it's better than what they had, but I don't think Metcalf is a great fit for Aaron Rodgers. Metcalf is not Devontae Adams or anything close to it. He is imprecise. He is not an incredible route runner. He does not, do everything that Devontae Adams does well. And then you look up and it's like, who else do you have around him? Like I guarantee that this team signed somebody that matters. Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, somebody like that is going to end up on the Steelers. And then we're all going to be sitting here and you'll regrettably have to talk about more possibly relevant players that we think Aaron will prop up. And unfortunately,
I assume
all those
it'll be
numbers,
Alan Lazard. They'll trade.
Yeah, clearly.
He's said he may not want to do that. Despite the completion percentage, yards per attempt, and sack rate that you just mentioned, Devontae Adams was incredible with him.
Well, I mean,
and Garrett Wilson was incredible with him.
Yeah, you had if Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, could fuse into one statistical player from last year, you would have been really, really happy with the fantasy output.
Nick Chubb signs a 1-year deal, $2.5 million, so not a lot of money to go be a backup in good old Houston. So he is a member of the Texans. Could be worth up to $5 million with incentives. He's 29.4 years old. We all love Nick Chubb.
Yeah, it's
He's had an amazing career.
Does he have anything left? So he had the knee injury 2 years ago.
We forget about the foot.
Yeah, he broke his foot. Like he was trying to make the comeback. It looked like a man who was not back yet, but then he broke his foot, so he would even further back. Does Nick Chubb have anything left? I
think there's a good spot.
I agree with. I think this is a great shot that the Texans have taken here. Of it's real cheap. What if Nick Chubb does have something left?
And if he doesn't, they're not in a situation where they're putting their hopes on Nick Chubb. They've got Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
Mixon multiple times last year dealt with injury. He had high ankle sprains a couple of times. They did need somebody to come in. Weren't they running out Cam Akers?
Yes.
I mean,
that what it was?
I think they picked Cam Akers late in the season.
Well, no, Akers then went to Minnesota. I think he started on Houston and then went to
yeah, I mean, they've needed some depth there, so it does make sense in that way.
They're rolling out Agumba Wale.
Mm-hmm.
C.J. Stroud resumed throwing at minicamp. I didn't see this on my Dynasty bingo card years ago, but Rashad Bateman signs a 3-year, $36 million contract extension.
Get that money.
$20 million guaranteed. Last year, 45 receptions for 756 yards, which is a 16.8 clip. 9 touchdowns and cashed in on those 9 touchdowns. You take that season, those numbers, and you throw 3 touchdowns up on the board, meaningless season.
You don't get this contract.
Meaningless season. You put that you catch 45 passes, but you score 9 times.
Good
generational wealth.
Good job, agent.
Bateman is. I think he's a little interesting.
He's always been
as
a
late
little
round guy.
underrated in the sense that when he's on the field, he's been he's an okay player. He just had missed so much time, 12 games as a rookie, 6 games the next year. Okay. You got DeAndre Hopkins
fine.
there, Zay Flowers there.
For fantasy, I don't think that there's enough here to be excited about for Bateman. He's got to get the touch. If this was best ball and you're just going to get the big play opportunity, that's fine. But in season-long leagues, I can't.
Mooney or Bateman?
I think I'd rather have Mooney.
Okay. That's about the right category.
That's close.
Yeah. Anthony Richardson aggravated his right shoulder injury, will not be participating in mini camp, dealing with inflammation in the shoulder. They believe he'll be ready for training camp.
I mean, that is the same shoulder, the same injury he was dealing with. So this is really bad news coming into,
competition.
Yeah, coming off the off season, and now you're injured. That's just it's a bad look. Feels a little Trey Lancey.
Oh, don't say that.
I think this is devastating for Richardson.
I would expect Daniel Jones at this point to be. I think we probably had him as a starter, but we imagine there'll be a change at some point during the year. But it's going to set Richardson back yet again.
Mm-hmm.
He needed to develop. That was the thing.
Exactly.
Last offseason when he was everybody's darling pick, it was like if you look at the numbers, Jaydon Daniels has all this collegiate experience, 5 years. And then you had Anthony Richardson with basically a year. So developmental time, fix mechanics, fix the things that plagued you when you were inaccurate. Now it's all gone. You don't get to do that. So, yeah, I guess in that respect, it's definitely setting you back. And Michael Pittman, also not at minicamp, but it doesn't sound like a serious injury. Amon-Ra St. Brown told reporters this past week he underwent a cleanup surgery in his knee.
How did we not know this? Like, how did
Which? The Amon-Ra?
The Amon-Ra.
Yeah, it happens every year.
Quiet cleanup.
It happens every year.
People didn't know you had a CPAP until a minute ago.
Well, that's true. Now the world knows. I
And
think
they
they could
definitely
have. I think they could have assumed.
Look, Amon-Ra.
Are you hoping to retire? Is there a way that you could retire that CPAP?
Yeah, that's the hope. You get healthy. You no longer need help breathing.
Put that thing, put the banner up.
Is there like a setting, like fat and then less fat, and
yeah,
then
it's just, you put in your weight, and then it just
less air?
blows lighter.
But Amon-Ra is a dog. He's going to play through whatever injury. He's not going to complain about it. And then apparently I'm guessing he was on he told reporters it just came up, and he's like, yeah, that's how awesome I am. I was playing hurt.
Cleanup. Wonder if we need cleanups and we just don't get them.
I got my right knee is.
You need a cleanup,
bro. If I go into any sort of squatted position to stand up, that thing goes.
Wow. I need someone else's left shoulder.
Oh,
yeah, mine's bad.
You need a swap though. You're saying
Right?
You want a full swap.
I don't want to clean up.
You don't want.
I just want like a healthy man's shoulder.
If there's a 2-for-1, Mike, my left knee, your right. Maybe we can get a doctor to do that. What else is going on? Minicamp holdouts. I talked about it earlier. Terry McLaurin not attending minicamp. He is frustrated with a lack of progress on a long-term deal. He is trying to Bateman here. He's trying to take his 13 touchdowns and get that cash, which he should.
I believe he is also in the final year of his deal.
This is the last check for McLaurin.
The last big boy.
Big check.
Yeah, and he's in the final year of his current contract.
Johnny Smith not at mandatory minicamp. Him and Jalen Ramsey taking it off. Ramsey wants a trade, and Johnny Smith wants
to be
money.
paid.
Yeah, there you go. Well done.
Yeah, I saw you weren't going to hit
No,
the mark, so I had to step in.
I didn't. James Cook, despite a bunch of negativity coming out, in fact, there was a report of him basically distancing himself from everything related to the
related to Buffalo. It was like
Adam
his
Schefter.
house.
Yeah, he basically disconnected himself from the organization, put his house up for sale. He said, quote, I don't think we'll be seeing him in Buffalo anytime soon. He showed up at minicamp.
Well, because he knows that the contract is not coming, and should he skip minicamp, he's going to get fined. Like, Terry can bet on the new contract covering his losses, and James Cook cannot bet on that right now.
Anything else? Josh Oliver, 3-year big money extension, tight end for the Vikings. Whenever these deals happen, people sometimes are like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But the tight end can be so valuable to a team without a fantasy player uttering their name.
There's boring players in football who don't get his fantasy points, and they need money too.
$19 million in total guarantees now.
Good
So
for
there
you.
go. But draft TJ Hawkinson. All right, we will take a break and we'll jump into some mailbag. All right, we're going to answer some of your questions. You ready, Mike?
Yep.
Mailbag.
Very nice, very nice. If you have a question, you can go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com, click the Submit a Question button, or you can dial the voicemail hotline, 302-464-TFFB. Is this a good voicemail in here, Papa Josh?
It is.
All right, let's do that.
Hey, ballers. Doc here from Atlanta. Who's your must-draft RB outside of the top 20 right now? Thanks.
Okay.
So RB not going in the top 20. That
Sound like a doctor, too, if you want to do the cleanup thing. He said he was a doc, so.
well, then I'm not going to give my answer until he rolls through the
Smart,
studio.
Mike. Smart.
You can't pay out until the doctor has paid out.
I mean, it's kind of
Right now it's all the rookies, but I doubt they
Yeah.
stay there.
I mean, I'll throw a non-rookie out, DeAndre Swift. I mean, to me, I think DeAndre Swift has a huge opportunity. I don't like saying it out loud. I don't want my
No one likes
my
saying
name
it
is,
out loud.
My name is Jason Moore, and I like DeAndre Swift this year.
I would say if you're talking about the later guys that aren't the rookies, because certainly it's all the rookies right now.
Mhm.
I want them all. I'm drafting them all. And
Like
I
Caleb Johnson.
expect, I love Caleb Johnson, but I would throw Brian Robinson Jr. out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's being drafted way later than what his opportunity is. I don't, his talent, he's okay. He's
Right.
average.
There's Isaac Garindo.
Sure.
I want to
think-
say the name out loud.
I think that he is still just insurance, though. Are you saying draft him like you think you'll have enough of a role?
I'm saying we've spent time drafting Elijah Mitchell in the past with Christian McCaffrey there. This is a thought exercise, right? Like maybe we need to take that approach with Isaac Garindo, where he's kind of a high value insurance back that may have some week to week availability. Like Elijah Mitchell would get play sometimes and have a good fourth quarter and things like that. You're either going to have more of a committee where Garindo is relevant, or less of a committee where Garindo is going to be relevant due to injury.
Yeah,
Those are the two outcomes to me.
That's what it is to me. I think McCaffrey's going to come right back into his full workload. Garindo is very athletic. We saw the juice last year of like, okay.
And they let Jordan Mason go.
Yeah.
And Mitchell go.
Yes, and they didn't draft anyone of note. So, yeah, Garindo is a high-value insurance running back, but I think that's all that he
When's
is.
the last time? I would love to know this, and Kyle, you can effort it. We can come back to it later in the mailbag. I want to know the last time that we didn't have a relevant fantasy backup for the 49ers during the year. Because are we on 5-6 years straight?
No.
I would say it was the year
of
that
mattering
that
in
Christian
some way?
McCaffrey was the dominant number one running back. 2 years
McCaffrey
ago?
had two. Let me vet it real quick. But 2 years. San Francisco, 2022, he was the RB2. The following year, he was the RB1. And we didn't have anybody those years.
Nobody. What
you
year?
draft them.
That was
but-
22 and 23?
correct.
And we didn't have any Elijah Mitchell relevance in those 2 years?
No.
Okay.
The name I'll throw out is
Well, it feels like you always do. By the way, he was
yes, it feels like it.
yeah, Mitchell was the RB 25 in 2021.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Jordan Mason for the Minnesota Vikings. I know their situation is strange because Aaron Jones just got paid and had, the most opportunities of his career, but they traded for and then paid Jordan Mason, to me, making it more of an ambiguous situation where you like to take shots on this, especially a very high-powered offense like the Minnesota Vikings should be. Like Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones is at a draft point where it's fine. Like he's not really in that fourth round dead zone where you're bypassing high-level wide receivers. But I think that there is a strong chance that Jordan Mason is in a full timeshare, or Jordan Mason ends up being the lead runner, and Aaron Jones is brought in as the third down guy. Jordan Mason is a much better, or at least was a much better zone runner this past year, and he is in the double-digit rounds, and I think that Jordan Mason should be looked at as if you're a zero RB type of a build, Jordan Mason should be a priority.
It would not be shocking if they just get equal work, if they just split it down the middle, and one of them's being drafted way later.
Yep.
All right, this Instagram question comes from Fat Boy Aaron. So another
Hey, CPAP bro.
CPAP bro.
Oh, I knew that was coming. Do I actually have to worry about Kyren Williams still not having a contract with the Rams? Jason and I have been every once in a while in the middle of the office. Jason will be like, "So yeah, did Kyren sign anything today?"
What's the ETA on that Kyren contract? I would say no.
It's not relevant to you. You don't worry about it?
I do not worry about it.
See, I think they love Jaquez Hunter, and I think they have Blake Corum, and I think that they don't want to make a Todd Gurley mistake and overpay. Now, I think they'll probably sign.
That's why I think it's taking
They'll
so
probably
long.
sign him.
Is they're working through all the. I get the, all the behind the scenes stuff, and they're like, oh man, we love Hunter. McVay loves his guys.
I mean, it's a fourth round pick, so it's not like fully irrelevant.
Right. I mean, the fact that they took Blake Corum in the third last year, and we had concerns. Okay, well, are they signaling us that they don't want to use Kyren as a true workhorse with a day 2 running back? That part didn't come through. So I'm not going to write off Hunter and say it's an impossibility. But I don't care about the contract right now because
when will you?
Probably never.
This is his final year, right?
For Dynasty, I
I'll
care
worry about that.
a lot.
Yeah.
But in redraft leagues, I think if they come in and he's on a contract year, they're going to just run him into the ground.
Dead last in running backs, among running backs in yards per route run in back-to-back years. They have some room in the passing game, I think, but he's been so dominant in the red zone.
Which maybe Hunter steps into that role. But the goal line and all those things, seeing the success that Kyren has had the last 2 years, I don't see them moving away.
All right, Instagram question: Kyren Williams or Bucky Irving? GG writing in Kyren or Bucky. So a follow up on the Kyren question. If it were me on the clock, I'd take Bucky.
The issue that I have, so if you're saying Bucky or Kyren straight up, and they cost the same,
yes.
Okay, then I probably would lean the Bucky side. I'm a big Kyren believer, but Kyren is over a full round later. Kyren is being drafted in a place where I think it's borderline inappropriate.
Sure.
So I will take Kyren. I'll definitely take the Kyren side because I'll get another running back or a better wide receiver.
I think we all think Bucky's being drafted at or above his ceiling, which is too expensive.
Because he's such an exciting player.
Yeah, that's where I was taking. I wasn't. Yeah, I'm with you. I agree completely. Like if it's equal cost, I want the more exciting, younger, explosive, a little bit more like unknown to Bucky.
Yeah,
let's see what he can do there. But I mean, a round later means you get an incredible pick in the second round, and then you add Kyren. It's just hard to imagine flip flopping that and taking another wide receiver in the third and having it feel as good as Kyren plus. Right. That second round pick.
I agree.
All right. D Hoke writes in on Instagram. Rather have DK Metcalf or Rashee Rice as a flex.
So those guys they're going quite close.
Yes.
To each other on a sleeper. Now on best ball, Rice is going much, much higher than Metcalf. Looking at the underdog ADP, you got Rice at wide receiver 14 and DK down at 27. So that does certainly.
That'll change.
You think DK will go higher?
A little bit, not a lot in best ball, but a little bit. Yeah, with the signing.
Because of Rodgers.
Yeah, with the signing. Your ceiling goes up with Rodgers.
Possible. I'm guessing that most of the super degens that have been drafting best ball teams over the offseason were like, Aaron Rodgers is going to be there, and they were drafting accordingly. So he'll go up a little bit, but I think he'll cap out probably at like 24.
I think Metcalf he's always got the built-in possibility of 12 touchdowns, 13 touchdowns.
Yeah, he does.
That's definitely going to be possible in Pittsburgh. It's close. I would lean Metcalf.
Yeah, to me, I mean, Rashee Rice, I think you brought him up as a wild card, Andy. This is his range of outcomes.
It's extremely vast, but
I don't see him. The question is, who would you rather have as a flex?
Yeah.
It's Metcalf, not because Rashee Rice isn't a flex. Rashee Rice,
Right.
he's up in my wide receiver 2.
Yeah, but imagine if he was your flex. That'd be pretty cool.
That'd be great. I think Rashee Rice is going to be wonderful. Like every week, you start him every week, consistent, reliable, the number 1 target for Patrick Mahomes, but he is way riskier than DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf, I feel like is you know what you're getting. You're getting a wide receiver 2 or better in DK Metcalf for sure. You're not necessarily with Rashee Rice.
Both have a lot of wild card potential. When you have new home for Metcalf, new quarterback, Arthur Smith always bringing his C game.
The Arthur Smith top targets, Kyle just shared this with us. So in 2021, Kyle Pitts was a 20% target share, 1,000 yards, or was that the 1,000 yards?
21
Maybe,
sounds right.
1 touchdown. The next 2 years, Drake London was the target share winner, but 4 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns. Then this past year was George Pickens, who had a 26% target share, but 3 touchdowns.
I mean, that's true. But Desmond Ridder and, Russell Wilson and I don't know how those quarterbacks don't throw touchdowns.
Right. That it's not Arthur Smith stopping
Right.
them from the touchdowns
Wasn't
there.
Pitt's first? Was that Matt Ryan?
I think his
Maybe
first year
2021
was Matt Ryan.
Let me just double check that. Yeah, that was Matt Ryan.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think I think DK's floor is actually really low.
Really?
I do. I think that it can be just like George Pickens last year, where spike weeks are always
loved
possible.
George Pickens last year.
No, I didn't love him. I didn't love what I was getting
going into it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then that didn't work.
Metcalf's. I think Metcalf will probably end up being one of the dumbest mistakes people make, not taking him early.
I agree.
I think it's just stupid. I mean, 5th round for a guy that's going to be soaking up every target in
There's
Pittsburgh.
no one else to throw the ball to.
And
Roman Wilson is like a hope.
You just traded everything for him.
And then paid the man
and then paid him
an insane amount of money.
That one seems so obvious to me.
I agree. He's very obvious to me as a value in the draft.
He seems
And
so
he's
obviously scary to me. Of like, I really think the floor is incredibly low. Like,
man,
why? Dude,
I think he's probably the safest.
He was wide receiver 31 last year in 15 games for Seattle.
Well, yeah,
with a better quarterback.
JSN took over and started taking all the targets.
Right, but if you are that good, then JSN's not going to take all the targets.
What if JSN's that good?
Yeah, maybe. But I'm saying DK Metcalf.
The Steelers said it with their actions.
They did,
They said
of
it
course.
With their actions.
But they also said that
we
Aaron
don't
Rodgers
want
is
George
the plan.
Pickens too.
Yeah,
they said we don't want George Pickens. We want DK Metcalf. We'll pay him everything, and we'll grab Aaron Rodgers. It'll be interesting. But this is the type of, whether it's right or wrong, this is the type of situation that ends up being the situation. There's a handful of these every year that won't move up because of
fatigue.
like what you just said. That's in the back of people's heads.
Mm-hmm.
DK Metcalf just kind of plateaued in Seattle and didn't care that much and missed some games here and there, and we'll see. But I'm in. Instagram, get on my Cavill says, when do the Ballers go to 3, 4, and 5 shows a week on the podcast?
Great question. July, we kick it up a notch. We go 3 episodes then.
It's not far away.
No, that's the next month.
I will say the first week of July won't be, because that will be the
4th of July.
The 4th of July observance. But July is 3, and then August is 5. There is
all the way through the end of the season.
Yeah, there's never technically a main fantasy footballers of 4.
A what?
Like we're never at 4 shows a week.
Correct. Yeah, 3 and then to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And even in the off season, technically, we're kind of like every day, because Spitballers is Monday, and the main show's Tuesday, and then Dynasty's on Wednesday, and then the main show's on Thursday, and a Footcast is on Thursday. So a bonus episode for supporters at jointhefoot.com. And then on Friday, the DFS and betting show's back.
We're everywhere.
We should totally cut that down. No, you've always got something to listen to. This question comes in from Raj. has Zay Flowers reached his ceiling?
No, he had 4 touchdowns last year. Like that, you know what I mean? Like if he did exactly what he did last year, and he just ends up with nine touchdowns,
he can't.
I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility with Lamar. You just think he will never. So what is his career high when he retires?
6.
His career high in touchdowns is 6. I'll take the over on that.
Okay. I mean, I would have answered the question plainly, yes. What we've seen from Zay Flowers the past 2 years has been nearly identical, and I think it's exactly what the Ravens want from him in the offense. So to me, he's never going to be a 8 to 10 touchdown guy.
I think it's unlikely, but I'm on Jason's side of I think he is a good enough player.
His quarterback threw 40 last year.
I get that part. Freaking Rashad Bateman taking 9 touchdowns.
Well, and a couple tight ends.
Yeah. But Zay Flowers is of the talent level that it wouldn't be surprising to me if he got up to 8.
5'9", 175.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not an insult to say a player is doing everything they should be doing for the team. So I think Zay Flowers just probably doesn't profile or will ever profile as a top upper echelon guy because of his stature and route tree.
His size says that he's not going to be the box out end zone threat that the Mark Andrews is around the goal line, but simply the fact that he is a very talented jitterbug with a great quarterback and a great offense, and touchdowns are very hard to predict. They're not sticky from one year to the next, and guys who aren't prolific touchdown scorers have those outlier seasons where they did get 10 touchdowns.
Landry had one. He had one.
Exactly.
So
that is the best
Landry
example.
was 5, 4, 4, 4, 6, 3, 2, 1, and then he had a 9.
There you go.
So out of a 8-year season, he had one huge one in Miami.
And Flowers is a good wide receiver, so I think he's capable of doing that. That's not necessarily the obvious path and the target, but I don't think he's reached his ceiling.
Last year was 116 targets, 74 catches. The year before, 108 and 77. Solid wide receiver, good player. He's only ever had 8 red zone targets.
That's wild.
Last year he had 8 red zone targets.
Okay. I was like, wow, both.
So at least at this juncture with Bateman and those guys, he hasn't been schemed to be a threat down there, but
yeah,
you never know. They have Hopkins now too, by the way. And Hopkins is a red zone wide receiver. So to me, it's a year away from that outlier.
I keep forgetting they have Hopkins.
Yeah, they have Hopkins and Bateman and the 2 tight ends down in that red zone that are going to do some work. Hopkins, if he can do anything at this stage of his career, he can run a slant. He can run a slant and catch the football. He did it in Kansas City. He did that repeatedly. But yeah, he's almost dead. Greg in Florida. We'll get to his question in just a second. Dynasty question from Greg in Florida. Would you trade CMC away for Omari and Hampton?
Oh, man.
If you're a win-now team. It's driving me crazy because I want the youth, but I want the title more. And we have been very vocal talking about Hampton might be a year away. I mean, the comments from the offensive coordinator in
Giro
Los Angeles have been how impressed he is with Najee Harris's knowledge of the offense. So that just reinforces a little bit of the two-headed monster at a minimum this year.
Man.
I mean, your odds of Hampton, I don't think Hampton can have a full-on rookie breakout with Najee healthy. That's the truth. I think he can be very good, but I don't think you can have a full-on breakout.
I tend to agree with that, and this is coming from the two of us both love Hampton as a prospect. We were more bullish on him than Mike was. Mm-hmm. I still think I would do this trade. If I could trade CMC for Hampton on a dynasty, I get that you want to win the championship, but I don't think that this means you can't win a championship with Omari and Hampton. It's just the value.
It's going to be harder.
Maybe.
I think that is such a brutal decision.
I mean, there's also the world where CMC is not helping you win a title.
Yeah.
Because he's injured again or, he's older. So it's not a guarantee. Keeping CMC does not guarantee you a title. If you said,
but I think it's a higher probability.
I would agree. But the value difference here for Hampton, I would just rather have him on a dynasty roster.
It's hard of like Hampton. Hampton's going to be, I think, fantastic for fantasy. In his career, where McCaffrey's like, do you have two potential years of Christian McCaffrey? Do you have 3? I think it's 2, with the chance of 3. So I mean, if you obviously you would look back upon this trade to see if you won or lost, because if you get 3 years of Christian McCaffrey being still a top 5 guy, then I think you feel bad that you made the trade
for sure.
Yeah, the McCaffrey decision making is going to be a tough one for people.
It really, really is.
Because it can be a huge mistake. It really can. And it doesn't just come through injury. It just comes from change. We did see him. We saw him in 4 games last year. He was okay. I mean, I know you talk about the breakaway run he got hurt on.
Yeah.
But the weeks before, I mean,
he was
never finished as a top 10 running back last year in his 4 games, and we'll just, I don't know. I don't know what he has and what he doesn't have. It's just a bet on a hardworking, former top-tier running back that whenever he's been healthy, he's been that guy.
Yeah,
but that's a 29 to 22-year-old.
Yeah, no, you're at the end here for Christian McCaffrey, but that's the thing for McCaffrey is it's always just been injury. Like you can have guys who have incredible careers where they just had a down year. McCaffrey has never had a down year.
But he will. He has to, because all players do. It's just a matter of, are you playing the Derrick Henry gamble?
Right.
Like Henry will too, by the way. Henry will eventually not have a good year. Like that will happen.
But not today.
Probably not today, but like let me put it this way for you.
The year is 2043.
You're making the decision, and I think I can make this question simple for you. If you get RB12 from CMC for 2 straight years, do you take Hampton in the deal? If I told you the next 2 years you get the RB12s from CMC, who do you take in the deal?
Man,
I know.
Jason, you can answer.
Mine is Hampton for sure.
Okay. So what if you get the RB8 for 2 straight years? Would you take Hampton or would you take CMC? Because I think this is the path to the answer. The path to the answer is what's the realistic finish for McCaffrey that makes you happy, and how high are the odds that you get it?
I think what you are saying when you word this question is you're hoping that Christian McCaffrey is a top 3 back.
That's it.
You're saying that he's bringing me a championship. If he's not doing that and he's just a good back,
right,
then I would rather have the 7 years in the age gap.
And then how would you handicap top 3 for McCaffrey this year? Mike might handicap it different, but to me, no matter what, those odds are still the best of the best. Is still not above 50%.
Yeah, above 50%.
Why did I sound like a bird right there?
I don't know, man. I was letting it go.
I think he's still got as high odds to be a top 3 back as, I mean, just about anyone. Like, if you told me Christian McCaffrey plays 17 games,
he's a top 3 running back.
Yeah, I would say he's got the highest odds of everyone. Like Bijan, I would put Christian McCaffrey there higher if he's playing 17.
Saquon.
Yeah, I mean, Christian McCaffrey's going to catch a lot more passes.
Okay. All right. I mean, look, it's not going to be the last time we talk about CMC this offseason.
No, it won't.
Sam wants to know, is it bad to have a lot of rookies in a starting lineup in a redraft league?
No.
Yeah,
next question.
Yeah, that was pretty easy.
On average, wide receiver-wise, 4 rookie wide receivers finish in the top 36 every year. 2 rookie running backs finish in the top 24 every year. So your odds are not high that you're going to hit on all of them. And the pathway for rookies can be bumpy. It can be an onboarding, right? You can have the first 6 weeks not look great. Caleb Johnson, when does he come on? Maybe Judkins gets it going from the beginning. Maybe not. Maybe Hampton's a second half guy. That's kind of the tough part of starting them week 1. But if you did it with Bowers last year, you were happy.
Yeah,
and he went late in drafts.
And even Brian Thomas, like you had in that first half, you had a top 8, a wide receiver 9, wide receiver 4, but you had a lot of bumps in there. So, and the fact of, will there be a Brian Thomas, Ladd McConkey breakout this year at the wide receiver position? And that feels less likely than last year.
We have a couple of questions that I can already smell the discussions. Instagram question from Tim: Garrett Wilson or Marvin Harrison Jr.? Mike, you were observing Marv's triceps earlier this week.
Yeah, have you seen him?
Yeah, he looks
Goodness
strong,
gracious.
but the lighting was also better.
Yeah.
The lighting was a lot better.
There was some Photoshop in that. That was not human meat. That was that photo was.
I mean, he looked strong, and he did work out. I mean, you look at him in the interviews; he looks bigger.
He is obviously in that particular photo. Things are maximized the best they could. I'm sure he went and got a pump. Did some curls and some tricep work.
I'd rather have Marvin for the chance of being a little bit higher ceiling than where Garrett is with the current Justin Fields universe. I mean, we've kind of been like, we may be heading down the Garrett Wilson path with Marv, where we're just disappointed year after year. But that's been the Garrett Wilson experience, minus maybe. I mean, last year was frustrating too. Like, he finished at 9, but that doesn't tell the story of having him.
It was
because you had all these in the last 8 weeks of the year.
Once Devontae Adams
Once Adams took over, but before that, it was awesome.
Except for the first 4 weeks when you were still a little bit disappointed. So he had like a fire run of 5 straight weeks, but the ride wasn't very great.
Yeah. I'm on the Marv side here for the exact thing you laid out, just the chance at something great. I don't think Garrett Wilson can be great with Justin Fields. That's just how I see it.
I don't either.
I don't understand that.
Are you making the DJ Moore argument?
Yeah. Like, we saw it. There was a player who had never been great who was said he will never be great. He can't be great with Justin Fields, and then he was.
There were a ton of breakaway touchdowns on that. And so,
I mean, that year he threw for 2,500 yards. So that's the thing, is Kyler can throw for 4,200, 4,300 yards. Justin Fields' peak season in New York this year is 3,000 yards. That math alone is creating a touchdown dependency for Garrett Wilson that frightens me.
Yeah, they're really close in my rankings, so I don't have a strong lean one way or the other. If I'm on the clock between the two of them, I probably would take Wilson.
What is Tetairoa McMillan ceiling as a rookie? Instagram question from Rick. There've been some a little bit of puff piece hype news on Tetairoa McMillan in camp and just how dominant he looks. So we have him ranked as consensus 29 right now, which I think we're leaving some room to move him. He's 34 in redraft, but he's 22 in best ball because he does have, he's got big week-to-week potential.
Yeah.
What's his true ceiling as a rookie? Could he finish as the top 12 wide receiver?
No, not a top 12, I don't think. But I think he can make it into the top 24, maybe in the top 20. He is wide receiver 22 for best ball. It's a little rich. I totally understand it. And I don't think he'll go that high. The sleeper ADP right now has him as the wide receiver 34 in home leagues, which that is fantastic. That is the exact rookie profile that I want to go after. Gives me margin that I already have the guys. This isn't drafting Marv and saying, well, this is my wide receiver 2. We're going to ride. It's like, no, he could be my wide receiver 4 with the potential to end up as a top 24 guy.
Yeah, I think his ceiling is probably around wide receiver 15. He profiles as the go up for the ball in the end zone and get the big touchdowns. The issue here is, does Bryce Young level up?
Mm-hmm.
Because if he doesn't, then it's the same thing with Justin Fields.
Yep. Where
you're saying, well, if Bryce Young goes out there and throws 18 touchdowns, well, you're not having a top 15 wide receiver season. But we did see, we saw Adam Thielen with Bryce Young his rookie year be hyper-targeted and be the number one for an offense where it's just like it was working. I mean, we played Adam Thielen like every single week. If T-Mac comes out and just is that number one target from the get-go, he could surprise and be, I think, pretty valuable. He's a good player.
Low Battery writes in on Instagram, our last question here, is there a chance Jaydon Blue takes over as
Jaydon Boot.
takes over the Cowboys' backfield.
Very low
He's
odds
tiny.
of
You know
taking
who-
over.
You know who we have not talked about that should be talked about? If you want to fade Javonte because of life history,
Right.
and you want to fade Miles Sanders because been there, done that,
Mm-hmm.
and Jaden Blue's too small. Nobody talks about Phil Maffa,
Right.
who they drafted, who came out of Clemson, so he played at a competitive school, who was a 1,200-yard guy, and profiles to have that potential to me. I mean, he had 13 touchdowns as a junior, 8 as a senior.
It's just because he was a seventh round pick.
Yeah.
They took Jaydon Blue in the 4th, and
Yeah,
so
sometimes you do that though. The Shipleys of the world get drafted earlier than the bangers. It's a wide open backfield is my point. And,
Yes, it is.
And if you're going to mention Blue to me, I feel like he's at least worth throwing out.
Jaydon Blue is someone that you definitely can see a path for him becoming fantasy relevant, becoming that pass catcher, that more explosive guy that has juice that Javonte and Miles Sanders don't have. The issue about him taking over the backfield, because he is an undersized guy, he's 5'9", 200, you don't see him as a 300 opportunity player.
No.
As a day 3 draft pick, undersized. That's just not.
He caught a ton of passes.
Yeah, and so that's kind of my
Yeah.
expectation. If he becomes fantasy relevant, it's because he's playing that third down role. He's getting a bunch of checkdowns. In a PPR league, he's someone you might be able to start. But I don't see a ceiling case for him really taking over and becoming the lead back
I
for
guess
sure.
The toughest part is Blue's going to be on that roster, and those other two guys are most likely going to be on the roster. So Maffa's going to have to fight
Yeah.
to make it.
Miles could be gone.
I guess Miles could get cut for sure.
I have a memory of his contract being.
Rico was undrafted.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it took him a
broke in.
long time though. It took him many years of proving himself. Yeah, so
And they still have Deuce Vaughn, don't they?
he's probably still there.
I
don't
they
think they
still
can
have
see
Deuce,
him.
Deuce Vaughn on the. Okay.
The
Couldn't tell if he's in the room.
Yeah.
the Miles.
Does he count like towards the
A roster-
53 man?
half a roster spot. Okay, that's just
You're
that's
paying
just
me in the
mean.
Deuce Vaughn.
And Jason started that.
Yeah.
The Miles Sanders guaranteed money is $167,000.
If you took that approach on height, we'd have half a producer back there.
Oh, that's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't do that kind of
No.
thing.
We would never.
We would never do that. Probably a good time to end the show. We got early breakout, sleepers, busts, and values coming up on some episodes of the show very, very soon. Underrated, overrated. We're going to do that as well. And don't forget
What if roster spots were based on total team weight?
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were
know what I
going to
mean?
wait.
Like you get 10,000 pounds of meat.
10,000 pounds of roster?
10,000 pounds of roster.
Wait, so do you weigh in like every...
You have to weigh in every Sunday.
Oh, for
every,
sure you
so
have
it's
to.
like a weigh-in for UFC. or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, exactly.
And so if you're overweight,
yeah.
you either got to cut or cut a player.
I like this new idea.
So you get every team's roster. It's not players. It's
Yeah.
weight.
Yeah.
It's the greatest idea you've ever had,
Thank you.
man. So you
Deuce
you,
Vaughn would be very
you got a
valuable.
huge
You
O
would.
line. You're probably you got a couple less special teamers on the roster.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even the playing field.
All right. Well, on
Thank
that
goodness
note,
we're done.
goodbye, everybody. We will be back very soon. Thursday episode and a Footcast. Check out the Dynasty show tomorrow.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.